No one can build anything anymore. This is a huge problem. How do you be original? That's hard. Northrop and Lockheed, these were founders first. Men and women who started a company, they wanted to protect our country. How do I take the best of and then reinvent and create and reimagine to be new into the direction that we felt? We have to build at the bleeding edge, at the front line. Hey everyone, my name is Joe Musselman and welcome to the Drone Wars podcast.
It's like we want to exert military power, but we don't want to deal with the fact that people die in combat. Do you know what I mean? Today's guest is founder and managing partner of Bravo Victor Venture Capital, BVVC, an early stage and Series A VC fund. He also led the firm's creation and backed the Schoolhouse, a unique VC PE platform that offers experiences dedicated to serving national security founders and the broader ecosystem of defense technology. Everybody, please welcome my buddy, Joe Musselman. Joe, thanks for flying all the way from excruciatingly hot Chicago to join us here in San Diego.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I know it was a really hard ask, I'm sure, to get on a plane and get out
sure.
here. What were you doing out here before you came and sat?
Well, a couple things. This was obviously a big part of it. I missed the grand opening of this place, which is beautiful.
Thank you.
So for anyone who is listening to this, you should come and tour this facility. It's absolutely extraordinary. From the first it always starts like this, a nice little large closet that turns into a garage, that turns into a warehouse, that turns into a larger warehouse, that turns into a large company and people and projects and departments on the wall.
Tale as old as time.
Tale as old as time. Yeah, that's right, with everything that goes along with it. But yesterday, in addition, when we knew we were coming out here, in addition to that, we did host a great event at the new Navy SEAL Museum, which is they're using it as a showroom for the big project, which is $250 million to build the nation's kind of foremost tribute to the naval special warfare community. And it was wonderful. We had 50 plus people show up. We raised just over $100,000+ for to hire the initial development director. It was great.
Cool.
Yeah, it was cool, man.
It's very cool. What do you think, let's talk about San Diego for a second. You lived here for a while.
Yeah, 15 years.
Yeah. And obviously has a huge military presence. What would you say the city has going for it and not going for it when it comes to all things defense?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. What does it have going for it for all things defense and not defense? Well, let me start with, obviously, the defense side. I'm pretty sure it has the largest concentration of veterans in the country in one place, in one city. The only one that would be close to it would be Virginia. What's it called? It's not D.C. It's over by Dam Neck and
Norfolk.
Norfolk. Norfolk. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. But anyways, outside of that, the command, it's very military culture, which is funny because it rubs up against this casual culture of San Diego, right? And then you have these squared away sailors and Marines and dudes, literally walking around, and you can tell them apart by their G-Shocks and their dress and how they walk and all this stuff. So and then you have Coronado, and you have the focus point of where SEALs are forged here on the West Coast in Coronado and up the Strand and so on. So you have this casual culture meets this kind of military culture, and it kind of works. Because I think secretly the majority of the military culture, when they're not walking around a base, they're pretty chill.
Pretty casual.
They're pretty casual.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And so the lifestyle of fitness and health and well-being and movement all year, 365, that's very military. So on the military side, I think it's wonderful. I came here in 2009, 2010, and loved it. So I think there's so much going on for the military side, but then you also have the point where you have people that have spent 20 plus years who are looking to not have that culture around them all the time, which is very understandable as well. And so what on the other side, obviously this is, if there were a heaven on earth, it would be here. Truly. I think San Diego and everything up the coast, all the way through North County, there's no place like it. It's like a little Amalfi Coast of our own. That's just beautiful.
That is a great analogy.
It's true.
It's totally true.
When you're on a boat and you're looking, you're just like, wow, this is all one giant postcard. And we're all very lucky to live here. There's few places in the United States where you can feel like a multi-millionaire and have an apartment in La Jolla. And so there is a richness and a fullness that you see families living here.
Yeah.
I moved away, and you do it for family, but I would love to be back.
Yeah, I mean, I think that clip needs to be sent to the mayor's office so that they can run that
I miss it.
when you walk into town.
Yeah, I miss this place.
All right, so Joe Musselman, tell us a little bit about who you are and what do you do?
It's a big question.
I know.
Yeah, it's a big question. So, well, first off, I'm a husband. I'm a dad of 3, 6'4", and 2. So we're in the trenches. There's still diapers running around the house and all types of stuff. And then sometimes not diapers running around the house. So that's like the first thing. And I really try to be good at that. It is a constant trade-off, especially when you are obsessed with your work.
Yep.
So when you're obsessed with your work, it is a constant trade-off because it's not work, it's play. And you love it, and you're obsessed with it. And I see it here. I see it here in the eyes of the workers. I've seen it in you from the moment we met. You've never not been driven by what you were focused on. And the problem when you get focused on that is everything else becomes a giant blind spot. And tunnel vision sets in. So that's the second part. We run a fund called Bravo Victor Venture Capital, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit. It's a national security fund focused on, with a hyper focus on special operations, the intelligence communities, clandestine operations, both the United States and abroad. And I would say from top down, that is the primary focus of my life, those things.
Cool.
Husband, dad, brother, to my sister, and of course, running BVVC.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. And founder. I would probably, professionally, I would much rather be considered a kind of a founder first than a VC, than the other way around. You still have to find a VC fund, but finding a company last year was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, next to being a dad.
Yeah.
And then having a different role as a founder too, as its VC, is also has been challenging, rewarding, complex. So, anyways, that's what I would say, high level, without going into the more existential stuff.
So you were one of the first people I knew who was like really interested in, let's say, supporting defense startups. Okay.
Yeah.
We met probably, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And again,
is it that long?
it might have been.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy.
2016, 20, I don't remember.
20.
Whenever Notre Dame played Navy at the old Qualcomm Stadium.
That's right. Yeah,
So-
that's right.
I don't know. Let's say like within the last 10 years. But again, not a lot of people are talking about this. Not a lot of people are doing it. You had a background in the military. Talk to us about like transitioning out of that, starting the Honor Foundation, and then this kind of natural evolution from supporting like guys as they get out to maybe supporting folks. Because I know you invest in a lot of former military like founders as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, yes, it's certainly not like a qualifier, but it just so happens that some of the highest performers in the world are veterans. So that goes hand in hand. Look, I talk a lot about absolute alignment. It's a course that I've designed for a long time, where you match head, heart, and belly with everything that you are focused on, and it brings out the best of you. What upsets me most is what will the world miss out on if people don't do what they were intending to do with themselves.
Yep.
And that's when real beautiful things are created, is when this is what I'm supposed to do. I want to have the courage to do it. And I was noticing a lot of folks will skip out on creating a business because they don't know if they can do it. And this country needs builders right now badly. We need to build things again. And so I always encourage people to try to become founders and entrepreneurs. But I have a very, you are a true founder and entrepreneur, Dan. So this is the way I define. I have a rigid definition for this, which people have disagreed with me about. And I haven't budged because it's so true. You're not a founder. You're not an entrepreneur, truly, unless other people's livelihoods depend on you being a success. And you look all around here, that is exactly the case here with you, the founding team, and all the leadership now that lives at this company. But it all starts with the founder, and we talk about it at BVVC a lot. We talked about this today on our retro. We don't invest in founders, we invest in teams. I invested in Dan, but I always ask the classic question of the roadmap. Who is going to be around Dan? And you knocked it out of the park. And that's even what led us to have conversations about Chad and others. And I remember being at the Fairmont Hotel when you
DC?
were, in San Francisco, when you were interviewing Ian. And you're like, hey, we found him. Like, we found the guy.
Yep.
And so I was like, oh, that's great. And then Chad gave me the brief on, like, you were literally going back and forth with him on a call. So that was exciting. But anyways, just bringing it back, military experience for me was a little different, not as intended. So I was the 22nd man now, because I have two cousins that just joined, but the 22nd man in my family to serve in the military, going all the way back to our country's revolution. So I grew up seeing every uniform in every closet of every home, every holiday. There's always shit talk going back and forth with the Marine, with the Air Force guy, and the Air Force guy with the Army guy and the Navy guy. Like, it was always a part of the fabric of my family's culture. And even the women in my family were teachers, were social workers, nurses, a very big service-oriented family growing up. And so when I joined in 2009, 2010, I joined with every intention to become a Navy SEAL based on meeting my first group of SEALs when I was doing this kind of study abroad. I don't even know if I've told you about this, but basically I did this study abroad my junior and senior year of undergrad, where I went to Iraq, Afghanistan, Yemen, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia. This was 2005, 2006 timeframe. And I met... Yeah,
What?
Yeah, it was crazy. I know. I don't think we ever talked about this. So it was a crazy experience.
I bet.
And I actually met the first group of SEALs in a fob in the Hindu Kush. It was a really remarkable experience. Came home, withdrew my OCS package from the Marine Corps. My grandfather turned over in his grave.
Yeah.
And then I walked down the hallway in the depot in Chicago, and I enlisted to become a Navy SEAL. Just like that. And I had to tell my parents the story, and I met these guys. They were very different, like the whole thing. But that changed the course and trajectory of my life, but it was exactly what was supposed to happen, because I went to BUD/S in 2009, 2010, went to BUD/S in 10 and 11, then I got injured very badly. I broke my back in a very particular way. Took 8 months, 10 months to get me back on my feet. But I asked a silly question when I was transitioning out. What happens to Navy SEALs when they're not Navy SEALs? And our country overall does not do a great job of transitioning excellence of any kind. We don't ask what happens to Olympians after they've been Olympians. We also don't ask what happens to Navy SEALs after they've been Navy SEAls. So I ended up transitioning out, and then asking that question enough times where no one gave me a good answer. We created an organization called honor.org, which to date, now I'll flash through all the founder tough stories of sleeping on floors and traveling to San Jose for dollars and red roof inns and all that nonsense. We raised tens of millions of dollars. We built 12 campuses across the country to date. We've transitioned over 9,000 members of the community, some of which I believe work here. Chad, the co-founder, is in fact graduate of the Honor Foundation. And
a couple of them.
Yeah, a couple of them. Mm-hmm. And so that turned into something, again, absolute alignment. I didn't get to serve the way I wanted to serve. I wanted to prove relevance to a community that I care deeply about. Mm-hmm. And when I always joke, like, chips on shoulders, very productive. Very productive if harnessed and used the right way. And I had a chip on my shoulder, and I really wanted to build something for the community that meant something to them. And so now I get to, I always joke that the metaphorical bus ever hits me, I'll as morbid as this may sound, I'll think, well, at least the Honor Foundation was created,
Sure.
And now obviously BV, but that to me was a big, it's cool to walk through a campus and see 40 operators. And I know exactly where they are in the program. I know what phase they're in. I know what curriculum they're getting. I wrote it, so it's cool to see that happen.
Yeah.
So it worked out precisely the way it was supposed to. And then in 2018-19, I transitioned out as CEO and then moved into launching our first fund.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it is amazing, to your point, how bad of a job we do.
Yeah.
Transitioning folks out. It's something I think a lot, and I'll always get a coffee with dudes if they ask for one.
Please, yes.
But I'm glad we've started to standardize it, and then of course expand it beyond just like NSW to other parts of the military.
That's right.
And these campuses, if you guys have never been, are incredible. How proud do you feel when you get to go see some of these campuses? I mean, they're like works of art.
They are. Yeah. Well, we had great design help from Gensler. Mm-hmm. They're brilliant. Mm-hmm. And so they designed, our HQ here in San Diego, and they've supported us along the way. But physical space has a lot to do with, I wanted them to show up into a physical space where it felt familiar enough to make them feel at home, but also know that they've never been there before. So there was a lot of design, conceiving of the design that would make them feel at home. Everything from emulating the colors of the rust on the shipping containers that they would use to ship their gear, and the color of the cages that they have for all their internal gear for the teams. Yeah. I mean, so we did a lot of thinking around our campus structure and design, but having a sense of pride is an understatement, because it's weird. It's not pride. It's similar to, like, you don't walk around here and feel. I would doubt you feel. It's not pridefulness. It's like, we're not done yet. There's more to do kind of feeling. Mm-hmm. So even when I walk into a campus, I'm like, there's an empty seat. I used to say empty seats, broken hearts. That means there's someone that should be in that seat that is not. And so what did we miss? Who did we not talk to? And it's the same question that I ask when I have the opportunity and privilege to go to a classroom. I always sit in the back. Nobody has any idea like that I had anything to do with it. And then I get introduced, and I just have a very quick question. It's my opening question, which sets the tone. How many folks in here know of another veteran that is of your teammate that is thinking about transitioning? Everyone raises their hand every time. And I said, well, where are they? Like, why are 10 seats open?
Yeah, why are they not here?
Why are they not here?
Yep.
So that, to me, there's more work to be done. Mm-hmm. Like, I love that flag. I'm going to steal that and use it somewhere in my life. This is my home or my office or whatever that says "Win the Pacific." Yeah,
we'll get you one of those.
Yeah, I will fly it proudly from my front lawn. Yeah, don't care, because there's things that have to happen in this decade that if we don't move with a certain sense of urgency, we will lose. And lose means everything. I hope people understand when they hear me say that. Lose doesn't mean a battle somewhere else. It means we lose the country. And so I feel very strongly about that, which is, again, alignment, head, heart, belly. If I'm going to spend time, talent, treasure, energy, all my energy, enthusiasm, excitement that I have left in me, I want to dedicate it to a war fight that I wasn't able to be a part of personally as a trigger puller. There's many other ways, and right now, this is why we named the firm Bravo Victor. Bravo is paying tributes to my naval roots, where the flag, when flown from a ship, the Bravo flag, it means we're carrying dangerous things. And when I came into venture, I was recognizing all of these funds that have billions of dollars under management genuflect to the legal part of, we can't invest in things that go boom. We can't invest in. I was like, how do you think we won the world and then gave it back to the world? Did we yell expletives at our enemies? No, like we had to win. And that meant doing very hard things. So when I came into venture, it's like, we need if the LP base is fully aware of what we're investing in from day one, imagine how powerful that would be. Yeah. And the Victor flag is, again, when flown from a naval vessel, it means that we need help from the outside. And governments can't do this alone. They need private industry. They need private capital to help them fund and finance all of these things that we need to protect our country and our way of life, which is why the vision is very straightforward at BVVC. We imagine a world where our way of life feels safe. Now, that will never happen, right? So it's kind of this taunting vision where I'm going to do all the missions I can to make sure that we can try to bring that vision into reality as much as possible.
Talk to me a little bit about the state of defense tech. I mean, you were early in the game here, right? And we've seen billions of dollars flood into the space. Yep. Where do you think we are today?
Yeah. Well, let's start with
we're filming this in March of 26 for context.
So, yeah, that's right. And when we look back at this, hopefully it's spot on. I will say this, a lot of money's been wasted, and a lot of money has been properly, I should say, allocated, but by the insiders. The problem is that the broader sector of capital markets are late adopters. And they broadly are. They're far more bureaucratic. They just have
Risk
more.
adverse.
They're more risk adverse, exactly. So I look at the special operator trigger puller, like Silicon Valley traditional blue chip firms. Look at where do the top leading engineers go after Stanford, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, so on, and they go to a big brand. Okay, they went here. They usually spend 2 to 3 years at a big blue chip, Google, so on. Where they go next is where they start to track them on these boards. Like if they go to a really small company like Firestorm, why? Like what does Firestorm do? Whoa, they do this, and yet the engineer that went to Google left Google to go there. Why? So I look at special operators as those engineers that in the private sector has looked at for decades as, in fact, those early adopters. Where are they going when they leave the big Navy? They were a part of a sub-community called Naval Special Warfare, and then they left their 10, 15, 20 years of service and went to where? Firestorm. Why? What is Firestorm? So for me, that's a huge indicator, and we track and follow those folks through a venture platform we call Schoolhouse, which has 10,000 opt-in members across capital, customers, community. That community aspect is just kind of a way for me to continue the talent conversations that I love with people who are still active duty and looking to go into something that is replicatable, duplicatable to their experience in the teams.
Sure.
Right? So that when you say the state of defense tech and national security, that we call it national security, our fund, but national security for me are these broad layers that have been ignored and in some cases directly abdicated to our adversary for the last half century. So now we're in this problem where we don't make things anymore in America. We don't forge steel. We don't build factories. And this is why Firestorm and the vision that you had that is now coming into reality with the teams we see here today. We have to build at the bleeding edge, at the front line, and you've created a way to do that. So to me, the state of defense tech has gone through this iteration like all software, hardware. But now there's this thesis that when we launched this in 2021, 2022, this advanced manufacturing piece that was stated in my PPM from day one, because it was so obvious to me from the founder conversations, Joe, I can make one of these things.
Yeah.
I think the government will buy hundreds. Okay, great. But when I asked the question, how are you going to build 50,000 of those things? And it was this every time, insert awkward pause. Well, we're going to rearrange supply chains and we're going to work with our... It's like, no, look, you're really bright, kid from Stanford and UT, and you might do that over time. But if you don't tell me how we're going to build 50,000 of these things in under 3 years, we lose. Again, specific with that word, we lose. The country will lose. And you came up with a very actionable roadmap. Because for me, it's always about the founder tells me a vision, the world they imagine, hope to achieve alongside others. And then tell me what you're doing Monday morning to get to that thing. And you did a phenomenal job at painting this vision. And then here, Joe, this is what we're doing Monday. And I'm like, okay, they can close that gap. And if money has to catch up with the industry, unfortunately, I said this back in, God, when? I don't even remember the conversation I was having. But I was like, if something happens, it's going to push the talent, which matters most to this entire ecosystem. It's going to push the talent into the teams that are actually working on the things that matter. And then we had a madman invade Ukraine in 2022, strike one. Then we had what? We had the atrocities. We had the submission of Afghanistan back to the Taliban. That was number 2. And then we had the atrocities of October 7th. So those 3 strikes, what did it do? It pushed an entire talent community that said, I don't really want to get back into defense, or I don't want to go, back into government work. My phone explodes. Where do I go? What do I do? How do I get in the fight? And it was the shift of talent. And money always follows talent. So I think the money is catching up where those early trigger puller engineer operators are going. And now we're seeing the greatest thing that could have happened to our country, which is we're seeing really bright people not go to Snap and Meta and Google and other places and go to the 3 letters, go work for DOW, go work for companies like Firestorm. That's what we had to see catch on, like that Apollo 2 moment our country hasn't had yet. And now it's here. So they can be late adopters, but they're going to lose out on a lot of money too, those blue chips. And they're going to figure out who the insiders are and how to get a hold of them and basically start to follow them along the stack, cautiously, risk averse, We get more diligence requests on other national security and defense companies from big funds than I've ever experienced in my career in venture. They're learning, at least they're learning. They're learning how to evaluate these companies.
Yep.
The returns are different. The risk profile, the return profile is different. And it just takes a minute to understand how to help them too.
Yeah.
Because the overall VC wants to be wildly helpful to their founders. So it does have to do with how do we even support a company like this with our SaaS networks? Yeah. So there is a learning curve, and it's an evolving state. You asked about the state of defense tech and NatSec. It's an evolving state, and usually, I would put it simply: talk to the people that have been here for a while. Talk to warfighters on the ground, and I think that we're going towards a moment where the best of this vintage, I feel, is ending in the next year. So if you're launching funds, that
was my next question.
Oh, was it?
No, it's great. Keep going, bro.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Okay, yeah. So
Don't disagree.
yeah, so the 21, 22, when all of the first three strikes started to happen, that lit a fuse. Remember, think about what 21, 22 was. I hope we have this, we have a very a very kind of amnesia society where we were just in a war fight for 20 fucking years.
Yeah.
All right? What did they think was going to happen to that talent pool? That's, by the way, that's for people who don't know, 20 years in the military, you can retire. So that means someone could have started their career in a war fight in 2002 as like an E2, E3. They could have ended a 20-year career fighting the same fight. And now they were all coming home. I get goosebumps talking about it because I saw it come through the doors of THF every single day. I've only known this. What can I bring here?
Yep.
Right? And of course, you and I know the answer to that because we've hired them. We've watched them do literal magic that other people couldn't do. And I will tell you that generation, the best way they knew how to fight again was to build. And to me, that's the greatest way to complain. Like, let's go build some shit, all right? Like, if the USG and other folks haven't caught on yet, they will, because we're unfortunately a great reactive country. So we had to have those three big things happen to react, and then the private and public markets had to see the DOW and the broader ecosystem of the Pentagon start to change their tone and push $1 trillion in the direction of national security and defense. Which triggered commercial, hey, there's something, we should maybe pay attention.
Yep.
And then now, we never thought that Facebook was going to be a national security company, but it is. We never thought Amazon and AWS would be considered a national, but it is.
Yeah.
Right? So now...
AWS is like $20 billion a year to the government or something like that.
Exactly.
That is a number.
That's a number, dude. So I would say that we didn't expect these small, harmless... Main Street, Palo Alto tech companies to become national security assets, but they have. And now I'm so proud of the builders that came out of that 20-year conflict, like Chad, who are taking everything, their instinct, their intuition, everything that they used in the war fight, and then it's like a layer of. So I use this all the time about Firestorm. I use you all as a gold standard example of the three people. I have to see the three archetypes that live at Firestorm. I have to see it in every company I invest in. All right? So let me explain it to you. Have you heard me say this before? I use it with you guys all the time as the gold standard. So, number one, you need the commercial archetype. Someone who has sold something to someone else, either government or commercial, that they didn't know they needed it until they met that person. That's Dan Meiji. You had a background in selling something. 100 million plus something, right? In revs that you created from nothing. There was nothing, Dan, 100 million, right? You figured it out. They need that commercial personality to be a part of that founding core team. The second one is the engineer. You need the person who has been tinkering and building before they could walk or speak. Like if we were to go back, if we had Ian's mom and dad here, right? They would say, little Ian was building stuff and tinkering with things before he could talk or speak, right?
Yep.
I've heard him say a similar story.
Yeah.
And then the third one's the most important. It's the operator. And what I mean by operator is they have been living their life as a professional working with a different bottom line. And I don't mean commercially, where bottom line is loss of dollars, Chad has spent his life under a bottom line where loss of life was the bottom line. So there's a seriousness to his work. And those three people where you and Chad bump heads because it's commercial and it's bottom line and the truth is in between, right? And then you and Ian bump heads for these reasons because the vision and the engineering, there's always the truth is probably in the middle.
Yep.
Okay. And then the engineer and the operator are like, dude, that weighs how much? No one's going to fucking carry that.
Yep.
Right. So you need these three people constantly as an overlay of an institution organization, and it needs to be equally. They all don't need to be part of they don't need to be founders or co-founders, but they have to be present from the earliest formation of the company culture. So I use you all as that gold standard, man.
That is great.
It's so true. It's so true. Again, goosebumps. So anyways, that's the truth that I've seen grow here at Firestorm. And I tell other teams, you need somebody, hey, 2 operators, you guys need to go find someone that's going to sell your stuff because you're having a difficult time right now just telling me about your business. How are you going to convince someone to buy something that you're not quite sure yet what you're building, right? So it's a sharpening. Iron sharpens iron, right? And that's what I see at Firestorm.
Totally. Okay, so why don't you tell me a little bit about how do you go find those people, or do they come to you at this point?
Yeah, inbound has changed significantly.
I bet.
Right, so that for sure. But also, I miss it where that wasn't the case because it's a lot of noise. And when you see the ramp up, it has this faddish feel to it now, where these two, I'm not throwing any school under the bus or any person, but we're 2 MBAs from Michigan, or we're these people from here. We want to build this fuse that we know there's a gap. But I always tell people there's only 2 things you're trying to do. Are you a product company or are you going to be a prime?
That's it.
Where are you going?
Yep.
Which direction? So, and you're coming at me with a product company, but without a vision of what this could turn into. So the inbound has changed, but here's what I look at it. Number one, like I said before, we don't invest in founders, we invest in teams.
Yep.
And the best teams in the world that I have seen, ideas find them. So I reverse engineer the hunt a little differently, I think. It just practically makes sense to me, where it's based off my own kind of founding journey. I had an idea find me. To date, I haven't thought of anything really novel. Like a career transition institute for Navy SEALs and special operators. Dozens of people have tried that before. I was just the right person and mixture of vulnerability, insecurity, execution. Like I was a vehicle for that idea for it to finally work.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
And so then it is the same thing with BVVC. InQtel has been here for 20 years, right? They have blazed the trail, man. Like we are safer because of their nearly 1,000, I think 1,000 plus investments to date. So I would say that ideas find people. So therefore, I'm looking for ideas that I know need to come into the world. And then I figure out who's working on these ideas. Then I figure out the team around them.
Interesting.
And so I still, despite the inbound, the team manages a lot of the inbound.
Yeah.
I'm focused on the outbound and the hunt.
Yep.
Right? Because by the way, diamonds in the rough, right? Needle in a haystack, very real. So.
I could talk to you for hours about how people only look at where you worked and where you go to school.
That's a horrible way to look.
And
man,
it's pretty funny, but you see that at a lot of these VCs.
And especially on the VC side. So
why? Because you invest in things that look similar to you, or that you know.
So true, man.
So
true. And if there's one thing that I feel like AI and GPT and such models have been really helpful for me, is to inspire me about my blind spots. Because I have personality assessments, because that's what we do at the foundation.
Sure.
I've taken dozens, and that is an operating project in my life where I fed it all of those as a project source, and I go through these different threads about my blind spots, because when I'm looking at a deal and I'll be excited about it, I'll plug in a 2-page prompt that I've crafted for me, and then it brings up all the blind spots, and I'm like, oh,
interesting.
I'm like, I see that
tracks.
there, that tracks,
Yeah.
And it points me and reorients me to just make sure I'm not lying to myself about what I'm excited about.
Okay.
And so, anyways,
It's a good check on like.
That's right.
You know,
It's,
you can be,
and it's objective. The prompt is
Totally.
brutally objective, right?
Yeah, because you seem like somebody like me. Like you can be a runaway freight train. I'd say.
Well,
when
we're
you get really excited by
also
something.
really enthusiastic to be around builders,
Exactly.
right? If I had $20 trillion, I would be financing a lot of businesses. Okay.
Totally.
Okay, but I don't. So it's in proportion to what I have.
Yep.
And it will always stay that way because what's been working, or I should say what has worked at BVVC Fund 1, now Fund 2, now growth, all these things that we're focused on, that filter is working by the numbers now.
Interesting.
And we don't lead with quant, we lead with qual. So if I'm going to spend 10, 15 years with Dan Meiji, I got to like Dan Meiji and Chad and Ian. And it's that way across the entire portfolio. Like I not just love, but like and love and know enough and care enough to want to be able to support them. Because some of the, like you said, the legacy, just as there's legacy thinkers and builders that we know across defense,
Totally.
there's legacy thinkers and builders across venture.
Sure.
Same thing. So how much of that do we want to keep? Because it's great. It's what's got us here.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same concept with legacy VC to legacy defense. So much of what they did was all started with the best intention. We know that. And remember, Northrop and Lockheed, these were founders first,
Of course.
right? Men and women who started a company. They wanted to protect our country.
Yep.
Now, what happened after that, history has been the judge, and we learn from it as we go, but it's the same tale for venture. So if I were to drop in to venture as kind of a new person, just a little under a decade ago, how do I take the best of and then reinvent and create and reimagine to be new into the direction that we felt? It's like, how do you be original? That's hard.
Totally.
Like, think about it. Even what Firestorm does.
Yeah.
The primes do this, right? But do they?
Yeah.
And it was the same thing with THF. Oh, well, the government does a transition program. Oh, does it? Well, why isn't it working for these guys?
Yeah.
So, like, there must be a better way.
Yeah. No,
That's
for
the
sure.
question.
For sure. So let's talk a little bit about, like, you get to be a little clairvoyant here. You get to look into your magic ball, okay?
Yeah.
Like, geopolitically, the last month has been unbelievable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Venezuela, Iran.
We're in history.
Yeah, exactly. Do you see any, like, trends on the horizon with, like, the technologies that are being used that will influence future geopolitical events?
With the technologies being used
Yeah.
that will influence future events. So I would say we've out-innovated for a while what's necessary on the battlefield. So that's like a tenet or a principle of what I call universally true. So for 20 years, we were distracted by a war fight in the desert with cave people. All right? We didn't need a lot because we used what we had, and it was sufficient for the war fight.
Basically an extension of Cold War technology.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right? So 19th, 20th century battle on the ground. Now, at that time of that, it was maybe a 21st high-tech, in the air, right? Because that's our air fight in those 20-year conflict is what saved a lot of lives, right? So then you moved to Ukraine, where it was still the same ground fight moving towards a 22nd century air operation. So we learned pretty quickly that manufacturing was going to be critical. Ukraine is now pumping out close to 7 million drones a year.
Yep.
Right? And so like that was inconceivable 2 to 3 years ago
Yep.
to anyone in Ukraine.
Yep.
And so now the United States, with the giant industrial base that we have, you and I go back, like this is my biggest point that I try to make is the president in the 40s and 50s picked up the phone and said, hey, Ford, GM, Chrysler, stop making refrigerators, cars, toasters, start making weapons, bombs, and ammo, right? And it's because he knew to pick up the phone, he knew to call who had the industrial might and prowess to flip an industrial base in 1 year, and we won the world. And then we gave it back to the world, the first time in human history, right? One empire won the world and gave it back to the world. Now, present day, the president picks up the phone, and it's a fucking dial tone. He doesn't know who to call.
No one can build anything.
No one can build anything anymore.
Yeah.
So this is a huge problem. And from the launch of the fund, This is pre like GPT. So like I'm very proud that I wrote my first fund PPM, as painful as it was. It was like a giant research paper that I knew I had to write but didn't want to. So college flashback was happening a lot.
Sure.
But I wrote it because it was just what felt right to me, head, heart, and belly. It just seemed aligned with patterns. So you talk about to be kind of clairvoyant and look at the forward. We need to build factories that build themselves.
Okay.
To me, that is very important. And a lot of folks ask, well, what does that mean? Well, what does it mean? You know, I was proud of them. Icon posted a video recently.
Yep.
And I go, you know what? Good for them. That fucking makes sense. All right? It shows up. It starts to print and build. I saw one human the entire time. And I'm like, okay, they're getting it. They're part of this solution, right? But if we can't deploy what is out in that room on a plane with no people, that lands with a truck that picks it up without anyone in it, that drops it off at the front line where there are actual warfighters, and it just starts working without anyone doing anything, until we get to that point, we're in trouble. And so there's a picture. I don't even need to be that clairvoyant. Everyone Google there's a very classic image.
She's going to bring it up for us right now.
Oh, we have that type of tendency. Oh, wow.
Yeah, dude.
This is great.
Yeah,
you're high speed here,
2.0.
dude. So pull up we're using Google, Chrome, got it. Okay, so Google classic Normandy D-Day beach. Classic photo, Normandy D-Day beach. Everyone has seen a version of this. Go to, that one right there. Perfect. Awesome job. All right. So this is in my PPM in 2021, where I said, here's what I said to PPM. The future of warfighting is going to look just like this photo, just without people. If you want to think about what Taiwan looks like in 2027, when we should believe a madman when he tells us his truth, what he will do, this is what it'll look like. It just won't have any people.
Did you see the administration yesterday just said, "Oh yeah, no, like we think we don't think China's going to invade Taiwan." I'm like,
okay,
why do you guys get to decide that? Right. And based on like what body of knowledge?
Well, this is what's funny. Best predictor, future behavior, past behavior.
Of course.
It's like it's universal. So this was the guiding theme of our fund. My grandfather fought in World War II. I had relatives fight in World War II. My uncle fought in the Battle of Pork Chop Hill, beyond that, for Korea. I mean, they were able to do this. Why? Because Ford, GM, and Chrysler made everything on that beach.
Mass production.
Mass production.
Simplify things and build a lot of them.
That's right. So the future warfight is this.
Make them good enough.
That's right.
Yep.
And so when I look at that, it still kind of inspires me.
How much of the problem is just as a society we can't take casualties in warfare anymore, and that's why we go exquisite everything?
Ooh, that's a good question. Say that again.
I've been thinking a lot about this the last couple of days. How much of the reason we go mega exquisite with a lot of our systems is because we can't stomach casualties? Do you know what I mean?
Well,
a lot of people died in Vietnam, and it kind of was one of the reasons why I think you probably lost the country, right? Because it wasn't bloodless. And then I think a lot of people kind of lost the stomach for Iraq and Afghanistan. I mean, we could talk about this for hours, but a lot of people were dying, especially in the IED stuff.
Yeah.
Right? We don't seem to be willing. It's like we want to exert military power, but we don't want to deal with the fact that people die in combat.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. That's a really good thought. So here's the way I think about what you just said. I there's a symptom to that I think predates even the blood lost of 2002 to 2022, which is unfortunately something very human, and it's a deadly sin, which is vanity. And here's what I mean by that. We, as a society, did want to show off how exquisite we are and how brilliant we are. The practicality had a delay, meaning there was a delay impact of that vanity, because then we saw it on the battlefield, and it's like, what were we doing for 20 years? And more importantly, what were our adversaries doing for 20 years while we were in the sand and the shit? Do you think China was hanging out? Or is that when they built all their advanced manufacturing cities? while they were watching us expend all of our resources.
Yep.
Right? So I think that when I say vanity, we wanted to show off how high tech we were against an ancient people.
Yep.
And that led to the point where the things that we learned in 2022 was that we can't do any of that quickly.
Yeah.
The solutions.
Interesting.
So it's like, first we thought very highly of ourselves, and let's show the world our air power and our fancy stuff in the desert. Again, against cave people. It is what it was. We were trying to find people in caves, and we had great air superiority. But now, for 20 years, Russia and China can outproduce us 10-1 in damn near every single thing that's critical infrastructure for a warfight. Mm-hmm. So like vanity into blood loss, into wait, how are we losing Americans again? How do we lose all these people? Mm-hmm. Well, because we can't produce the things to protect them. Mm-hmm. And now we're in this very unique in-between moment. And the majority of history, novice buff or whatever you would like to say, I'm obsessed with history, and I know you are too. And it's kind of hard not to be because it's how we got here. So if you're not analyzing at least recent history to the point like it's a forensic exercise, you're wrong, especially if you're a founder. But I will tell you that it's a result of first vanity, let's build exquisite systems because we're so fancy, to the point where now we've really lost the ability to make any of those exquisite systems at scale, and now we're here. And going back to where? We're going, my Italian mother, man, if I had $1 for every time she say this, I would never have to raise another fund again. Never forget your roots, son, where you come from. That's our country, Dan. We forgot that we were the manufacturing titans of the world. And what did we do? Like, societies don't go away because they stop thinking of things. Societies go away because they stop building things. Mm-hmm. From the Egyptians, they forgot how to build the pyramids. Yeah. The Romans forgot how to build the aqueducts. We forgot how to go to space. Yeah. And it took an entrepreneur and founder to do that.
There's this book I just finished. I need to look it up. Sorry,
No, please.
Consume a bunch of media. But it's a comparison between China today and the United States. And it basically says we were the engineers and now we're the lawyers, and China's the engineers. It's very interesting.
That's terrifyingly accurate. Yeah.
Let me see if I can get this.
And I just read something yesterday. So a new AI company, I've learned really tough lessons this past year about selecting partners and people and choosing and all these things. And glad it happened. And I have a different lens of experience now and layer to extend to founders. Because that's really important. Because at a company that we founded last year, Union, we grew up in a hurry. And when you grow up in a hurry, you leave some loose ends. Right, so we figured out a bunch of stuff, and we've definitely cleaned up. But the whole point of me even bringing that up is I'm looking at this new AI company, and I'll be damned that over 50% of the founding engineer team, direct relationships and ties to CCP.
Okay,
all right,
I'm not surprised.
So let's go back to what got us in this problem in the first place, 1999, 2000, 2001. What happened? Well, the CCP they started to financially engineer institutions to invest in starting up companies in Silicon Valley.
Did a lot of that.
Right? Oh, and shocking. Oh, America, Uber. Oh, China, Uber. Yeah. And you go through the whole tech stack, and we couldn't figure out how they were replicating and duplicating our technology so fast. Well, they were coming from nothing in the 70s and 80s, and then they started to partner with the United States with our manufacturing, and they started to make everything for us, and then we forgot how to make everything ourselves. All right,
because we could save so much money.
Thank
you, Wall Street.
Yeah, exactly. So now when we look at this, and I just for a second time, Shyam's book from Palantir is great. I recommend it.
Yeah, good book.
It's a good book, and the main thing about it is it's a recall. To, he's a first-generation immigrant, and I think back to my grandfather coming here. Italians do two things well: they make food, and we lay concrete. Right? Okay, that's just what my family did. That's it.
Everyone's
we
got
ate
a job,
well,
Joe.
and we got a great driveway.
Everyone's got a job.
That's right. So thinking back, my grandfather would take apart a vacuum, clean every part, and then put it back together again before he would ever buy a new one. Now it's like, it's broke. Amazon, click, next day, new vacuum. That's a 50-year period of ethics around work. that has changed. It looked like overalls that you put on back in the day. Now it's like overalls. It looks like work. I'm not going to do it. So that mentality, it's instilled in a generation of Americans still. I know it exists in us because the fight's in us. Our generation was raised by the greatest generation.
Yep.
They're around us, and I hope they're still around us.
Yep.
So it's not gone yet, but man, is it this close. So if we wanted to wait just until, we had no time left.
The 11th hour, 59th minute.
That's it. We're there. We're there, America. So let's not wait to be reactive to what happens next, because we may not have a country.
Sure.
And that's what scares me most.
Okay, let me ask one last question here, right? What right now are you reading or consuming or listening to?
Great question.
What's filling your head?
So I'm reading a lot of books about kind of the governing dynamics of laws of exponential in scale.
Okay.
All right, because there's a body of work that exists that I don't think founders pay enough attention to. That, like simplifying it, it's like, it took a founder like 1 year, you're a good example of this, took a founder, 3 years to raise $1 million, and then it took him 1 year to raise 30. What happened? All right, so if that's a chronology and you break it out, it has very little to do with what that founder did that 3 years to raise $1 million. What did that founder do over the last 13 years of their life? And it goes to a simple thing that triggered me about a year and a half ago to start to really think hard about this, because we're at a point of scale.
Sure.
And I think VC focuses a lot on like AUM.
Yeah.
That's very silly metric. AUM is a very silly metric.
Yeah.
What we've been able to do with that is, so there's about 1.4 billion people in the West, as we would consider it by definition. So like I look at technology through that lens of the law of exponential growth. How quickly can this company build a product or prime, and again, sometimes a product is a good thing. So I don't mean to look at companies as if they're building a product. Like there's one product company that I'm looking at right now that if she figures this out and we start powering things through photons and lasers, this is a company that creates the new ComEd, the new energy company of the future. So I'm not saying all product companies are bad out the gate, but what I will say is the body of work around this was inspired by a mentor of mine who said he raised $250 million or something in 30 days. And I'm sitting there. This is like back when I was, grinding to get Fund One up and going, 1,300 phone calls and got to do it. He goes, Joe, I didn't raise the fund in 30 days. I raised it over 30 years.
Yep.
And that got me because it was the relationships. It was the way he chose to live his life. Admiral McRaven said something that I brought up yesterday at the Navy SEAL Museum, because I had a mentorship. I could very much consider him a mentor for the last decade of my life.
Yep.
And one thing he said that always stuck with me about being a good man, he's like, Joe, to be a good man, you just have to be one. So, right?
Yeah.
As simple
just don't
as,
even overthink it.
No, just
be
good.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Just be good.
Yeah.
And so I think about, lately I've been reading a lot about that and probably overthinking it. That how do people experience this type of success? Dan, it has nothing to do with what Dan has done the last 2 to 3 years with the team. It has everything to do with how Dan has chosen to live his life, what lessons he's taken from it over the last 20 years, not the last 2 years. Think about how that would help a filter for me when I'm sitting with the founder. Yeah. I ask very little questions about actually where they are and where they hope to go. I want to know where they've been. Because those are the formative moments, those emotionally shaping moments of adversary, or that are adversarial, and what they have overcome. So I'm spending a lot of time reading about that right now, and trying to turn it to be more quantitative in the way that I can ask questions and reverse engineer encounters with people. It feels a little intrusive sometimes. Yeah. Like tell me an emotionally shaping moment between the ages of 1 and 10 that you overcame. An opening question like that is.
I think if you can figure out how to understand if somebody is comfortable being uncomfortable, they'll be a good shepherd of your money.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because being an entrepreneur is being uncomfortable every single day.
Yeah.
And yet still fighting towards what you think is going to happen. Because, we actually did an interview earlier today, and I asked the guy, what do you wish you knew when you started the business?
Yeah.
And he said, well, I don't know if I would have done it because I just didn't know how tough it was going to be.
Yeah.
And so if you can flush your thoughts every day and just get back to like, okay, I'm uncomfortable, it sucks, but I'm just going to like paddle through the wave.
I mean, you invest so much of you.
Yeah.
That you get to this point of no return.
Yeah. You just got to kind of keep going, right?
The boats are burned, man.
Yeah, for sure.
So I feel that. And that's a tangible obsession that you can feel at the earliest stages. And you got to kind of read through like you said, we were excited. We're excitable. I want to, like when people get me excited about an idea.
Do everything.
Yeah.
Of course.
And you just can't. So what's worth your time, talent, treasure is a constant filtering exercise of head, heart, belly, and then a good filter of people around you for blind spots. And the McRaven Fellowship at our fund has transformed the business. So to have frontline warfighters be the frontline filter for me to see everything that comes inbound, it gives them the rounds down range to understand what good, great looks like.
Yep.
And then it also gives me a filter of what is practical for the warfighter to actually think is a good idea in the first place. So that has transformed our fund's business, just being around that type of mentality. So yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, Joe.
Thank you for having me, man.
This has been great.
I miss you. I miss seeing the team more.
Yeah.
It's crazy to walk in here and just see this, but it's not. Like, this is one of the reasons why we were pretty early.
You were pretty early.
I was pretty early.
I think we've been a pretty good shepherd to your capital.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, man. I'm very grateful for you. And one thing I would want to end with saying, this is a really heartfelt belief at the firm. VCs don't experience any success. So like, I want to be very clear about this with the audience and for folks. Like, when a VC talks about their success, it is not theirs. It is their founder's success that they're experiencing. So we are nothing more than a vehicle of fuel for the builders. And so I want to be very clear to everybody that's listening to this that if you ever hear VCs talking about like how much success they're having as a fund, you should run for the fucking hills, because that's a mentality, and leadership trickles down, which means leadership thinks like that.
Yep.
So like, all hail the founders and the builders that are doing this. We are nothing more than vehicles of capital, and we hope to empower you, because honestly, the best founders I've ever worked with, Firestorm included, they're so sniper with their asks with me. They don't need my help. Yep. They need a sniper ask. Joe, do you know this person at this command, at this place, in this program? Office. Yes. It's always yes, because I'll figure it out no matter what.
Sure.
Right? But the point is, it's not our success, it's your success. You've been wildly successful. You deserve all the praise.
Appreciate it, Byron.
Yep.
All right.
You got it.
Thanks for listening to the Drone Wars podcast. If you liked what you heard today, please subscribe to catch all the latest insights for all things defense and geopolitics.